Hi everyone, welcome back to I Love Balance. So, I had promised myself that I would record my first video on this webcam called a Logitech webcam. Apparently it's one of the best webcams out there for a little bit of monologuing, let's say vlogging. I really wanted to make my first video just to get it out of the way, and as I was thinking about it, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about. And one of my biggest problems, which is not actually a problem to have, is there's so many things I want to talk about. So to keep it simple, just for this first video, and also because I need to pack up my laptop, I'm going camping for 5 days, and I'm going to be doing tons of documentation, so I need to bring it with me, and it's the next thing that I had to pack. So since I had on my list of to-dos today, make your first video, I sat down and I decided, all right, make your first video. But what happened is I was doing it yesterday. So it was on my list of things to do yesterday, and as I was actually doing this exact same video, a friend of mine interrupted me and I ended up completely scrapping the video. So I needed to start it over again. And the way that I got what I wanted to talk about is because as I was thinking of what I wanted to talk about and I was finding all of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry, or I don't have to do it right now, or whatever, right? I realized that I was just procrastinating, and most of us do procrastinate. So I started thinking, what can I do to stop procrastinating, and why am I doing this? And at the end of the day, and I say this to my clients as well, motivation doesn't just happen. Unfortunately, it's not something that just downloads into our brain and all of a sudden we're like fully motivated, right? Yes, there can be triggers. Yes, there can be things that make us much more motivated, like when we have a really strong reason why. But what gets us motivated in the first place? So say for something as simple as me wanting to make my first video, or someone wanting to make their first step to exercise, or to eat healthy, or to sleep more, or to like what actually motivates someone to do something aside from their reason why? The thing is you have to generate. You have to generate that motivation. And when I started thinking about how do you generate motivation, it made me think of a book that I read not too long ago, and actually quite a while back, but I always remembered that wheel, right? That wheel of momentum. So basically, we all think that, we all would like to think that we would be super motivated. We decide that we want to do something, and next thing you know, it's like, boom, we get a flood of motivation, and let's go, let's do it, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way. We tend to think about wanting to do something, and then we don't do it, and we don't do it, and we don't do it, and the longer we sit on it, the less we do it. And why is that? So at the end of the day, like I mentioned, motivation doesn't just happen. So even if you really want to do something, you can't wait for motivation to come. You can't wait for motivation to come, because honestly, it might never come. It might never come. It's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss, right? It might come. Maybe your reason why is going to become strong enough. Maybe there's a fear of something like death or whatnot, and that will make you, do something and motivate you enough to do it. But if you wait for it to come, it's a hit or miss, right? So you have to take action. And this book that I read called The Happiness Equation, right? From Neil Pasricha, I think the way you say it. So as it says right on the top right there, want nothing plus do anything equals have everything. So this is not the little wheel of momentum I'm talking about, but think about that. Wanting nothing plus doing anything equals having everything, right? I'll let you think about that for a little second. And in the meantime, I'm going to find this page that has that wheel of momentum that I'm talking about, which at the end of the day, even before I find it, okay? So basically what it comes down to, motivation doesn't happen overnight. So what do you need to do? You need to do it. No matter what it is. Let's say for me, it was to make this first video. Well, I needed to do it. I wasn't just going to like one day wake up and be super motivated. No, I needed to just do it. And by doing it, right? By doing it, by forcing yourself to do it, you force yourself to do it, you realize that you can do it, that it really wasn't that bad. Like once you forced yourself to do it, you realize you can do it and it really wasn't that bad. So now all of a sudden you want to do it. Like you initially thought you wanted to do it, but you didn't, because if you're not motivated to do something, it means you don't really want to do it that much, right? So at the end of the day, if you're not motivated to do it, you just have to do it. You have to force yourself to do it. And by forcing yourself to do it, as I mentioned, you realize you can do it. You're like, wow, okay, I can do this. This wasn't too bad. And then because you can do it and because it wasn't too bad, well, all of a sudden you want to do it because, wow, it wasn't too bad. So then you do it again. And then you realize you can do it again. And then you want to do it even more. And then you can do it again. And then you do it again, and then you realize you can do it again, and you can do it more. So it's just this continuous wheel, this wonderful wheel of momentum, where you forced yourself to do something, you realize you can do it, then it makes you want to do it, and then you do it again. And as you keep repeating it, repeating that process, eventually that wheel of motivation has been kick-started, and you're good to go. Right? So let me just show you. I mean, it's exactly as I just said it right now. I was pretty sure I had folded my page. Oh, there you go. So he says, and it's really funny, he says it right there. We tell ourselves that this is how we get anything done. And it looks like this. The can do. So we think that, you know, okay, because I can do it, now I'm going to want to do it and do it. Or I can do it. So because I can do it, it makes me want to do it, and then I do it. But the thing is that's not how it works. That's upside down. If we wait until, like, we already know we can do it, right? We know we can do it, or maybe we doubt ourselves. But at the end of the day, if we wait until we can do it, like just the fact that we can is not an action, right? The fact that we can do it is not an action. So doing it is the action. And then it's right where, boom, he turns around and he goes, my do line changed to a do circle. And it went from this, right? It went from can do, want to do, to look at it here. All of a sudden you do, then you can do, and then you want to do. And then it's that wonderful wheel of momentum that we were talking about here of do, can do, and want to do. So, you know, aside from this little motivation spiel that I'm talking about, The Happiness Equation is actually a really good book. And it has a lot of good little life hacks and just little things that are good reminders, right? Like a lot of these things we know already, guys. We already know this stuff. It's just that sometimes reading it or maybe explained differently or a different perspective or hearing it again, just like anything, right? A seed is planted at one point, and like a tree or a fruit or like anything, the seed is planted, but the next day you're not bearing fruits already, right? The next day you don't already have something that you can eat. You plant the seed and it takes a lot of time. So the same way that there's a lot of these things that we might have heard already, but it's just a good reminder, or those seeds have been planted at some point by someone, and reading it again will, you know, really register or target certain things, or maybe even, again, open up different perspectives. So The Happiness Equation by Neil Pasricha, I highly suggest. It's a quick and easy little book to read. And again, even just if it's for just to remind yourself about that wheel of momentum when it comes to motivation doesn't just happen. Like, so let me kind of go back a little bit here. Like I said earlier, sometimes there are certain triggers or deadlines that happen, right, that force people to do things. So it's not because they necessarily had the motivation, but they had strong enough reasons why, powerful enough reasons why to take action. So at the end of the day, maybe don't wait. Don't wait until it's like a life-threatening or a deadline or whatever it is, right? At the end of the day, make yourself do it. If you know that there's something, or if you know that there's something that could take you to the next level, take you to the next step, that could make you healthier, that could give you a peace of mind, that could improve your quality of life, that could do anything to better or improve yourself, then just force yourself to do it. Force yourself to do it, and you will so thank yourself later. You will so thank yourself later. Look, the same way. I didn't really feel like doing this video. To be honest, guys, I was in the middle of packing everything for camping for 5 days in Quebec with my family. And, you know, it's quite a road trip and there's a lot of things to plan. Especially like I'm actually super lucky because my parents are pretty much 95% vegan, so I don't, you know, I don't have to struggle too much when I go see my family and things like that. There's still a slight struggle sometimes, like my parents still go out fishing and it's still things that hurt my heart, and at the end of the day, you know, I have to be okay with it for because there's nothing that I can do, you know, I'm not physically going to stop them. They've already changed a lot of things throughout the past years in their life, and you know, the more that they've seen the change in my life, the more that they've seen those, you know, positive, the more that it positively reinforced it for them as well, and the more that they realize like, wow, like her health is improving and our health is declining, so they actually started making changes, which is amazing. When I see my family now, my mom, my dad, my sister's like pretty much fully vegan now as well, but they make a huge effort. So even if I'm not there once in a while, they do their own thing and their own decisions. At least when I'm there, they fully respect like how I feel, and they don't go against it, or they're not giving me any resistance anymore. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I love spending time with my family. So I'm really excited for camp. But all that to say is I had a lot of things to do. I've got like all my super seed breakfasts over there just laying on the counter still. I'm half in the middle of making an almond milk from scratch for all of them, and I'm literally packing groceries, about to go to Organic Garage. I'm packing, I've got a little bit of everything packed everywhere. Bagheera's coming with me, so it's going to be a nice road trip with him for sure. And yeah, so I didn't necessarily want to make this video right now. I was on a roll with everything else, but I had promised myself. And actually, I had promised myself yesterday, as I mentioned, and because I was interrupted, I didn't finish it. Although my friend was like, oh no, just do it again. And I could have, totally, but I found an excuse. So, you know, on me, I decided today I need to actually do this. So I decided to sit down and do it in the middle of all of this chaos. And now I feel super good about it because, first of all, I love you guys and I really love to share advice and anything that could help improve someone else's life. And I think that motivation is huge. I think that a lot of people are waiting around for motivation to just poof appear, and clearly it's not. So it's really good. Like at the end of the day, if you do want to be motivated, take action. Start by taking action. Don't wait until you're motivated. Start by taking action, and the motivation, that wheel of momentum, the wheel of motivation will start turning. And next thing you know, people always say it. It's always when we're busiest that all of a sudden we feel, although we're getting the most stuff done, because we don't stop, right? We just keep going. We're busy, so we don't have time to get distracted. So, you know, once you are motivated, usually that wheel really keeps turning. Make it a positive wheel and not a vicious circle, right? So remember, guys, the happiness equation from Neil Pasricha, and here you are watching I Love Balance with Michelle. And thanks for listening, and I hope you guys stay tuned. So as I mentioned, this is pretty much my first video talking a little bit about motivation here, giving some recommendations on what you could read, and giving some little spurs of my life, because I have an awesome, crazy lifestyle, and I am the creator of my reality, and I am more than happy to be able to share all of this with you guys and hopefully inspire a few of you. Awesome. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk soon.